got the moves like Jagger, folks. What's going on?
I just want to let everybody know that I am parked. I'm not driving. I would not be dancing like that if I was driving. So.
Well, you say that now. I kid. Welcome to the preview show. It is I, Jacob Moore, the self-proclaimed sports analyst, plus the man who's always on the move, Mr. Lane Dashing Dashco. How's it going today, Lane?
Oh, not too bad. We're out here doing some border patrol for the island, just making sure no one's getting on with their proper identification. So I'm just traveling the border, make sure everyone's just protecting the Streaker Island podcast.
And we got a big game today between these two teams, between the Montreal Alouettes and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Hello, Mr. Moore, for your money out on the road, but I'm glad you will be here for the post-game show. If he's not here, guys, you're allowed to slash his tires.
Whoa. He's having a rough enough time with being an Argos fan. Come on, get the poor guy a break. He's got to get those walking.
Yeah, he's got to get those steps in for the CFL Fights Cancer Walk. Absolutely. But since this is the first game of the week, we are going to once again look at our CFL power rankings heading into the week. And when we take a look at these power rankings, we have Saskatchewan rated at 1, Calgary 2, Lions 3, Elks 4, Ticats 5, Red Blacks 6, Blue Bombers 7, Alouettes 8, Toronto Argonauts 9th. So in theory, this is a bit of a game that it's two lower teams. However, I think it's still a very good possibility that this is going to be a really good game between both these teams, right? Like, both these teams have really strong defenses. But, Lane, how concerned are you with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the Montreal Alouettes quarterback situation with Captain Morgan?
It's going to be interesting, right? He's a rookie quarterback at the end of the day, right? Like, he had a pretty good game his first game, but again, he's going to be going up against a really tough defense, especially with Jefferson there, and I don't know what's going to happen there.
Yeah, I think Willie Jefferson, this is the type of game for him that he could really just take over, right? Like, he's a big, mean defensive lineman, right? And I think he's going to make the life a living hell for James Morgan. I think the key for Morgan is just to, honestly, I think Montreal just cannot be too aggressive to start. Just make Winnipeg try to win this game on their offense and just hope that between your two defenses, maybe you can keep the game low scoring. Because let's be honest, Lane, Winnipeg's offense has been nothing to be overly excited about.
No, it really hasn't been. Again, I just feel like this team is feeling the Grey Cup fatigue at this point. 5 straight years here with Zach Collaros, Brady Oliveira, like Nick Dembski. It just feels like they aren't really connecting this year. I mean, time will tell. Dan Moore has been on the podcast saying all they got to do is sneak in, and maybe there's some truth to that, right? Maybe a team like this can, they can be like a cat. They've got 9 lives. They just have to, even if they're wounded and hurt and sore, they just have to get in there, and then they can wake it up. And this might be one of those games where you look at down the season, if they can pull off a win tonight, which they definitely should win. This is a win, for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers that can really honestly change their season. If they lose tonight, you're looking at a team that lost to Montreal with a rookie quarterback, and this is the chance to win and put yourself in that playoff contention that Dan Moore's been saying they could still do.
I mean, what's going to be tough for Winnipeg is this will be the year that if they make the dance, they're not going to have home field, right? Like, I don't think Winnipeg is going to be able to catch Calgary, which we will get into the Calgary games later in the week and the Toronto game later in the week, which I see Mr. Moore saying the Argos are going to improve to 3-8 after beating the BC Lions. Now, I also predicted that in our pre-record. However, I know, Lane, you thought we were both a little bit out to lunch.
Well, I was going to say the Winnipeg Blue Bombers might not have the home field advantage, but if they get to the Grey Cup, they will. But, I think you guys are crazy. I know. I mean, I get wanting to stand behind your team. I know you're the Argos fan, and it's good that you stand behind the boys no matter what. I just can't see Nathan Rourke. Seems to be on a mission right now. He's had 2 incredible games. He looks like he's back to the old Nathan Rourke that was torching defenses left and right. He still makes bad throws. I'll give him that. But at the end of the day, this guy's been on a monster run. I think he continues against your Argonauts that have been just struggling this year.
Now, it's interesting here, Mr. Morforce calling for Captain Morgan to get his first CFL win. I think if Montreal can find a way to pull this win off, they have to make Winnipeg continue to turn the ball over. Winnipeg's been turning the ball over a lot this season, which has been quite a surprise. Zach Collaros has been very inconsistent with the way he's been able to move the ball downfield, right? He's had some instances where he's made some bad decisions. If Montreal can bait them into some bad decision, and if Morgan can just play okay, like, Lane, I don't know if you're feeling the same as me. I don't think James Morgan needs to go up there and try to win this game on his own. I just think he has to go up there and not make a critical error.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel, He doesn't have to. He's going to be facing a rookie quarterback, so Zach Collaros really just has to play an average game. I don't know why everyone feels like he has to play crazy. I know the Montreal defense is a bit better, so it's going to be interesting to see how big this Montreal defense can really step it up, and maybe they can kind of steal the victory and let Morgan kind of ease into this game. Maybe not let him get on the field a little bit more, give him some good field position. It's going to be on the specialty teams too to put him in some good field possession with some good kick returns, punt returns, so they can maybe turn some. They do have a good kicker, I know, so maybe this is a field goal game where they chip shots in. Maybe try to go for it on 3rd and down. Maybe bring in like a Dukes, maybe. And I could even see, like you said, you even pointed it out. Would you be surprised if Cameron Dukes enters this game in the second quarter if it's not going well for Mr. Morgan?
I think it's possible. I mean, you have to find that fine line between giving Morgan enough leash that he isn't terrified to make a mistake, but then also, be aware that, hey, James Morgan, this is his first career CFL start. He doesn't have a lot of experience, and this is a very good defense in Winnipeg. I think there's a very good chance you see Cameron Dukes. I still think Winnipeg is completely out to lunch by not starting Montreal, for not starting Cameron Dukes in this game. Actually, if anything, I think Winnipeg's out to lunch by not trying to bring in another quarterback that they think has some potential, because Zach Collaros' numbers are not great. He has the highest interception ratio out of all the major starting quarterbacks, with 5.4% of his passes are being intercepted. Like, just to put into comparison, everyone's over Nick Arbuckle in Toronto, and I'm not just saying this because I'm an Argonaut fan, but Nick Arbuckle's interception percentage is 2.8%, where Zach Collaros is 5.4. So that's almost double, right? So that's kind of, I think, for Winnipeg, especially with Montreal running a backup quarterback, their running game's not the greatest in the league. I mean, it's better than Toronto's, and it's more consistent, I'll say, than Hamilton's. I think Hamilton's running game is it's either really good or it's really poop. And I think for Montreal, it consistently is okay. But if you're Winnipeg here, maybe you can just pound the rock a lot. And you are getting Peyton Logan back into the lineup, right? And he's a guy that has some explosive speed, maybe on some quick little hitch routes. Maybe he can get going. Or you put him and Lavo out on the kick returns. And if you're Montreal, who the heck do you punt it to, right? Because Peyton Logan was one of the top returners in the West last year in Calgary. And Valvo's been is second for average yards on a return for punts this season. So, Lane, I'm curious what you think here. I know you don't think Montreal is going to win this game, and frankly, neither do I. But let's put our Montreal Alouette coaching hat on. I'm not going to put a hat on because, I combed my hair before the show. Yeah, it's still stuck up in the back. I need a haircut, folks. What can I say? But, the salon on the island, Craig is the one that does all the bookings. But, Lane, I'm very curious to see, do you feel Montreal's just got to try to keep this game simple and just try to keep it relatively close and then hope that maybe they can just put together a drive towards the end?
Yeah, I think you're going to have to just play this like a simple football game. At the end of the day, you're going to have to do, like I said, I really think it's going to come down to the little things here for Montreal. If Montreal does pull it off, they're going to need to do all the little things right? Like they're going to have to, get good punt returns, get good kick returns, stop a key second down here, get the ball back, don't make key mistakes, don't draw offsides, don't take penalties don't take an unnecessary penalty, don't take a face mask when it's 2nd and 20 or something and you get them 15 yards. You have to you have to stay disciplined on the field. That defense is going to have to, make sure they contain Zach Collaros as best they can. and maybe this year is a little bit easier to do that, so it's not out to lunch. I do think that the Montreal also might have to get their running back involved, which he's been pretty good this year, so get him involved, and maybe give Morgan some simple throws to some key guys there that can just make some Phil Pod or something that can make some key catches out there, and if Montreal can just like you said, just kind of not rock the boat, but keep the boat afloat, keep within this game, keep themselves within a 10-point game, and then try to maybe get a last minute play or a last minute drive down the field to win it. There's a chance they can do it, but they got to play almost perfect tonight because they're facing a team that's hungry and a team that wants it and a team that absolutely needs it.
And Dan, to counter your point here in the comments about Zach will be back in playoffs, look, if Winnipeg doesn't put a string of wins together, which, mind you, they've been better of late, I feel, they might not be making the playoffs, right? You have right now, they are tied for third, which the only reason why they have the third position locked down in the West is because BC has played less games. But when we looked at our power rankings to start the show, BC is playing much better football than Winnipeg is right now. That's not even a question. Winnipeg is at 10 points. So let's say hypothetically BC continues to roll, they could be moving into the East crossover. Now let's say Ottawa wins their game tomorrow and Winnipeg loses today. All of a sudden Ottawa is only 2 points behind. And let's say hypothetically Toronto wins, then all of a sudden Toronto's only 4 points behind, Winnipeg's only 2 points behind. And all of a sudden Toronto and Ottawa and Edmonton potentially, depending if Edmonton beats Ottawa and vice versa. Some teams that look like they're dead in the water all of a sudden could be climbing back in. Where the big difference for Winnipeg, they've kind of been win one, lose one, win one, lose one. So Dan, I do get what you're saying about Zach Collaros in the playoffs, but who's to say he gets there? And for Winnipeg, unless Calgary falls apart, or I hate to say it, Vernon Adams Jr. gets hurt again, I don't see Winnipeg catching Calgary, even though the point spread's only 2 points. I just feel Calgary is a much better team. So for Zach Collaros, if he gets to the playoffs, the biggest thing will be he will not be at home. Okay, as Lane pointed out, he'll be home for the Grey Cup if they can get there, but you got to go playing. Right now, they'd have to play a game in Calgary. Okay, that's not the loudest stadium in the league by any means, but certainly not a quiet one. Then you got to go to Saskatchewan, which Saskatchewan is one of the loudest stadiums in football in Canada. So, Rider Nation's going to pack in for a Western Conference final being hosted. Hostess gets the mostest out in Saskatchewan. So, all I'm saying is for Winnipeg, this is crucial for them just to try to get going. And too, because you got to remember too, if Saskatchewan beats Calgary and then Winnipeg beats Montreal today, all of a sudden they're tied for second. I really think that second spot in the West is so important to avoid having to go on the road for the conference semifinals. So I think this is a must-win game for both teams. Did you not agree, Mr. Dashko?
Yeah, I would agree. I think it is a must-win game. You can't be losing, so it's going to be a tough game, and I 100%. I'm with you.
But I mean, I would also argue this is a must-win game over in Montreal as well. You know what? You have a team that's only won one game without Davis Alexander. You're in quarterback hell, basically. I still personally do not agree with the decision that's made of going with Captain Morgan today. I don't think you're setting him up for success. But here you are. He's your guy. But if all of a sudden Montreal loses and let's say Ottawa wins and let's say Toronto wins, all of a sudden you got Ottawa only 2 points behind you. You have Toronto only 4 points behind you. And as much as after last week, I basically wrote Toronto's season off. As a fan, I'm still going to support and still hope. My double blue pride is still, Lane's even wearing blue for me today. I'm just kidding. I don't want him back in Hamilton jail. But Montreal, you know what? They've really, really struggled. And the big surprise is, too, their defense this year, now, mind you, they've been on the field a lot without Davis Alexander, but their defense has not been up to par, in my opinion, whatsoever. And maybe it is bringing in Sean Lemon. Maybe that did screw up a chemistry. But, I mean, just to put in perspective, we did some of our top defensive players for linebackers on Thursday, and Darnell Sankey normally would be in my top 3, and he was down to like 7 or 8. Like Montreal's top players, besides of the offense, are not clicking the same way. And Lane, I said it to Dan before when he was going on the Argos, just, not just Dan, but a lot of CFL fans saying the Argos are just losing because they don't have their quarterback. Lane, could you imagine if Montreal had Nick Arbuckle? Like, they might be pushing with Hamilton for first in the East.
Oh, no kidding. Like, of course you can make that argument. Like, Nick Arbuckle in Montreal, even, like, I would even argue you could probably put Trey Ford in Montreal. As much as people would laugh at that comment,
I would.
I think that you can make that argument that it may be a scenario change there. Even he could be running there. Like, just hasn't been the same without David Alexander. They don't. MBT, again, I know he's a nice guy. I just don't think he's really fit for this league anymore. I know he was pretty successful early in his career, but I just think he's gotten to a point now where the CFL is kind of maybe too much experience or too skilled for him at this point. And I'm not sure if now they're trying to run in a rookie quarterback. I'm with you, Jacob. I just think they should have put out Cameron Dukes. I'm surprised they didn't. I think it's a big mistake, but I mean, we're not the people that make those decisions. We're just people on the island. Maybe we're wrong, and maybe we're going to be coming on here and saying what a smart move it was and how we don't know it better. But we are the analysts, right?
Exactly. I do agree with you, Dan. I think Nick Arbuckle is playing great. I just mean at the beginning of the year, especially, everyone was going on, and yourself and even myself after winning losses to Montreal. I was like, if Chad Kelly's in that game, they win. But when you talk about MBT, you got to remember last year, I want you to not think about the win and loss, which I understand that's a huge stat, obviously. But MBT last year had 24 touchdowns to 11 interceptions, 3,748 yards, completing 318 passes out of 468. Like, he actually played pretty well. They just didn't get wins. Now this year, oh boy, he's got 957 yards. That part's not the huge deal, but only 4 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. You only feel like, in my opinion, MBT has only had one good game this year. Every other game he's been in this season, he's just really struggled. And all of a sudden now, I'm just going to call this out, and I'm curious, Lane, if you agree with me. Montreal looks so stupid for moving on from Cody Fajardo right now. Because if Davis Alexander getting hurt, if you had Cody Fajardo, you're probably ahead of Hamilton, or at least tied with them.
Oh, for sure. And Cody Fajardo, right? He's been such a game changer ever since Edmonton has put him in, right? He didn't get those original wins, but now he's starting to show what he can do, and he's kind of starting to run that offense in a successful way where you feel like he's definitely going to be the starter there in Edmonton going forward. So sorry about your luck there, Trey Ford, but yeah, no kidding. They're probably kicking themselves in the foot right now saying, why did we get rid of Cody Fajardo? Another thing I was going to throw by you before we were talking about Nick Arbuckle. Could you imagine him in Winnipeg right now? Like, how much different that team would actually be with an actual quarterback like Nick Arbuckle? They'd be literally first in the West.
Unpopular opinion, and actually, this brings in our first edition of the day for Gas or Ass. I wish you guys could see Lane's dancing the whole time the way I could. I got to figure out how to do a split screen so we can still see Lane dancing. But Lane, gas or ass? Nick Arbuckle will be a starting quarterback next season, whether it's Toronto or somewhere else. I'm saying gas.
Gas, 100%, even though I don't like the Argos. You got to admit, he's doing well. The one thing about Nick Arbuckle that I guess is frustrating as a fan is it does feel like sometimes he has to play perfect football. But again, I don't know if that's just because he's on a team that's really struggling with a lot of locker room issues, or if that's just how he plays. But lately, it just feels like, if he makes one interception, the game's over, or one fumble, the game's over. Again, I don't know if that's just the Argos right now because they're struggling with their locker room mentality and the coaching and Ryan Dinwiddie and player frustration, maybe losses of room and players aren't really getting along. That could be a whole different factor to it, but I do think, if there's teams out there next year that maybe don't have a quarterback or especially key injuries, I could definitely see Nick Arbuckle throwing in his name to be a starting quarterback on team. I'm going to say 100% gas.
Mr. Moorfor is also saying gas. I think Nick Arbuckle, you'll be looking at him next year. You'll be looking at teams like Winnipeg who have really struggled at that position. Maybe Saskatchewan, because, let's be honest, Trevor Harris isn't getting any younger, right? He is.
I'm thinking Ottawa.
Maybe Ottawa.
Drew Brown, right? The nice backup for Drew Brown.
But it's interesting here. Mr. Moorfor thinks that MBT will be back next year because of all the young QBs. I don't know. So. I have a hard time thinking a team is going to want to bring him back with how he's playing. Like, I get he's a good locker room guy. Maybe he's going to be back as a coach. I could see him definitely not in Montreal then. He already had the coaching guru and quarterback guru and Anthony Calvillo, arguably the greatest quarterback in CFL history. Him and Damon Allen are kind of neck and neck in that, right? And to the comments again, yeah, Dan, I do agree with you. I think Montreal is looking back at that Cody Fajardo decision, and they're kind of cringing because, when I say that, I don't think Davis Alexander being a starter is necessarily a bad decision. You look at his numbers, he's played very well this season. The issue has been he's had a hamstring injury that just won't go away. And you brought him back. So yeah, you beat Toronto by bringing him back in that one game. Great job. But now you've lost him for so much longer that maybe if you just gave him an extra week or two, he'd be back. And I'm curious, Lane, would you be feeling right now if Davis Alexander was starting instead of Captain Morgan, would you be changing your pick right now on who you think is going to win this game? Because I would 100%.
Oh, 1,000%, right? It's not even
1,000%.
No, 100%. I would. If it was Davis Alexander playing healthy, I'm picking Montreal every day.
So would I, because I think Montreal with Davis Alexander, I think this whole team's better. It's kind of like, and again, people might say, well, how does a quarterback fix your defense? But if the offense is staying on the field longer, it means the defense isn't on the field nearly as long, right? So that would make a big difference. But I mean, it's honestly tough for Montreal. You can tell. I don't think I think the effort's there. And I think with them, if they can make the playoffs, if Davis Alexander can get healthy, I still think this team could be in the Grey Cup in November. But our question would be, can Davis Alexander get healthy? And in the meantime, can they just find a recipe to win football games?
Well, I know you said they don't really do this in the CFL. I kind of wonder why. Maybe why couldn't Montreal just go to the Argos and be like, we'll give you $200,000 in cash and maybe some prospect that you want in 2 years. Give us Nick Arbuckle. You're not doing anything with him. Give us him. We'll give you cash considerations. We'll pay out his salary, and we'll give you a young prospect. Why don't they do that in the CFL?
Or you call a team like Edmonton and say, "Hey, you've moved on from Trey Ford, so give us Trey Ford. We'll bring you on. We'll throw you a couple prospects your way, a couple draft picks." Now, funny enough, Toronto and Hamilton actually made a trade today.
Ooh. Really? They actually got on the phone and talked to each other?
I know.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, really. I had it up and then it's gone.
You would think with how bad the rivalry is, the number would be like, it's like, this number has been blocked. Please contact Cogeco Watchers to get this number unblocked.
It was a draft pick for one of Hamilton's long snappers.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to. I had it on my backs and closed it, but I mean, Toronto is. I'm a little surprised Hamilton's moving one of their long snappers at this point in the year, just for a draft pick. You think they'd want some depth there, but it also means I wonder is Toronto moving on from someone else in the group. We haven't seen a lot. We haven't seen the big cut yet that I thought maybe they were going to make. But I am curious to see. And you are right, Lane. I don't know why CFL teams don't make more trades at the deadline. Like, I think if you're especially...
It'd be more exciting, too.
Well, especially for a team like Montreal, that I think they are a serviceable quarterback away from being a real team. Like, I understand you maybe don't want to go and get a superstar and create controversy, but maybe even, you are calling Edmonton, you're calling Toronto. Hell, maybe even you're willing to give up one of your receivers, and you're calling Saskatchewan about Jake Mayer. If I don't think they would trade Jake Mayer with Trevor Harris's age, but Montreal, maybe they should be looking at the market, or maybe you even look at
even a Mazzoli,
really good backup somewhere that we feel could be a starter. I mean, they had one with Cody Fajardo, but
you look at Mazzoli,
You could look at Masoli. I mean, again, Masoli's serviceable. Like, he's not great, but he's not god-awful.
Or what about, I can't think of it, trying to blank here in Hamilton, the backup there. They're not going to use him.
Maybe
Taylor Powell, right? If he's not going to get his reps in.
We say that now, and Lane, maybe you'd think I'm insane, but, I mean, Hamilton's got the bye this week. If Bolivar Mitchell has another bad week or two, we know Milanovic and Mitchell don't really get along that well as much as they try to say that they do. I mean, you can see it when you're at the games. They're arguing on the sidelines. I mean, maybe you do see Hamilton making a move and putting Taylor Powell back in if Mitchell starts to slow up. Or if teams start to figure out, you know what, if you completely take Kenny Lawler out of the equation, these other receivers just aren't the same caliber. Because they're not. And we might see that this week with Toronto if Coxie has been labeled as out for this week for the Argonauts. We'll be interested to see what the Argos offense is like without Coxie, right? Because I think Coxie and Lawler are the two. And I think they're the two best receivers in the CFL, and it's not even really a question right now. But back to the comment section, and maybe surprised that we don't see more trades with the standings so close. Yeah, the CFL is never, football in general, even the NFL, you don't see the blockbuster trades as often. You'll see like a superstar be traded for like a 4th round draft pick, where like in the NHL, they'll be bringing in like, something huge. But also too, maybe with Bo Levi Mitchell, just so everyone knows what he means there. Maybe with Bo Levi Mitchell, it's a love-hate relationship. And it could be, right? Maybe Milanovic is on Mitchell as much as he is because he knows he can be the best quarterback in the CFL.
Yeah.
I just think, and we'll have to go shortly because we're about to get into kickoff, but I just think in Hamilton, I am just shocked that there's not more trust on like 3rd and 3 at midfield. They don't go for it more often. That's just my surprise. When you have the best quarterback in the CFL, and actually I would feel the same way for Ottawa with Drew Brown. I think when he's healthy, especially, and even Dustin Crum, who's serviceable. Maybe Montreal makes a phone call to Ottawa about Dustin Crum once Drew Brown's healthy. Or if Ottawa loses and their season seems done. But before we go, I would want to quickly go over some of these props, which I know everyone's already got their streakers picks locked in. But just to verify again, the props in the app today were 375 combined yards for Winnipeg's offense. Captain Morgan, 225 yards, 1 touchdown, and no more than 1 interception. Willie Jefferson with 3 knockdowns and a sack. Montreal combining for 3 sacks in total. If you wipe the board with all yeses and you get them all right, you win my respect. You also get the streakers points, which, just to remind people as well, with these streaker points, you might be saying to yourself, what do I do with these points? We will have digital rewards in our stores ASAP. So remember just to keep collecting those points, play and earn, and eventually you will be able to, it's kind of like putting money into a savings account. You don't touch that money, right? You just let it grow. That's what these rewards are. Just let the points grow. Once we get the store in, you're going to get some awesome prizes. But Lane, I think it's time you actually get home. I'm sure you're a hungry boy I'm going to guess you're going to have chicken nuggets for dinner.
No.
What's wrong with chicken nuggets?
Oh, nothing. I was actually got some breaded shrimp.
Oh, breaded shrimp. It is also A&W's MS Day, not MLSC. Sorry, folks. MS Day, which then proceeds from Teen Burgers are going to MS Research. So if you're out and you're craving a burger, see more for is hungry in the comments. He's like, nom, 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 nom. Well, Dan's always hungry if you know him. But
he's always hitting his name.
Thank you very much for watching, folks. We will be back for a post-game show with myself. I think, Lane, you're going to be there.
I might still be in my car. Who knows?
It is, right? Lane literally never leaves StreamYard, so he's just ready to go no matter what. So even when he's in the car, he's ready to rock over to StreamYard. And I will be joining as well. So remember, though, to like and subscribe over on our YouTube channel, where all these live shows go. And same with our Facebook. We are also on TikTok, and follow us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and all those fun platforms to listen to our pre-records. But I agree, Lane. Wowzers indeed. But thank you very much for watching. We'll see you guys back for the post-game show.